Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now we are opening up our crafty Advent calendar day 10 and we'll just see what we've got. I've got my hand covering it up, but basically what we've got is another die set, and it is the cutest little piece of toast. It is a multi-layer piece of toast. I'm opening it up so you can see. And you've got a place for some jam or peanut butter or whatever your little topping is that you want to add to your toast. And I'm just going to get this opened up and we'll look at all of the pieces and see what kind of layering situation we've got going on here. And it looks like we've got some little arms and legs as well. So you've got your background piece for your toast. That would be the kind of the toast edge, like the brown part. And then the inside, that would be like the more cream colored part. And then we've got our little, I don't know, jam or topping or whatever. We've got a little broken heart. We've got some arms and legs and the cheeks. And then the piece that you back the eyes with. So I have got all my pieces die cut out here. And I'm using Spellbinders cardstock for this, and I'm just going to get to layering them. So the darker cinnamon color would be like your edges of your toast, and then the lighter kind of butter color there is your bread. And then mine's peanut butter. I'm a peanut butter lover, and I like to get me some toast and some slather on some peanut butter on it. And so I kind of used some more of the cinnamon. And I know that's not exactly a peanut buttery color, but I thought it was cute. I thought the colors looked nice together. And so those are the colors that I had a piece of, basically it was a piece of scrap of that cinnamon. And I didn't have a full panel of it to bring back in to layer up. So that kind of was disappointing, but I need to get some more ordered from Spellbinders. Anyway, so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to pop up the face piece, and it'll just add some dimension to our little piece of toast. And that, because I'm not going to put very much dimension, I think, on our card. But anyway, I'm going to make one of his little arms raising up to say hello, and then the other one we'll put down. Now, I did tuck it between the layers of the toast there. You don't have to. You can put it on the back of the toast. In fact, when I do the one for the packaging, I'll do it that way, but you can do it however you want. And I'm going to put his little legs just behind his body, but we'll get this all layered up. And this is super cute. Now, Spellbinders has been doing some food videos. I've got the macaroni, I've got the brunch, the breakfast with the bacon and the waffle and all that set. And this piece of toast would go great with it. I had it out, was looking at it, and I thought I could bring it in, but I decided to just kind of stick with some of the components of the Advent calendar. I'm going to bring in a press plate. We're going to use it. But I might link, if I can remember, I'll link some of those other food videos up in here so you can check them out. Super, super fun product. The macaroni set is just, it's super fun. So these are the little cheek pieces, and I cut them out in the same color as the lighter layer of the toast. And I'm going to get some glue on here and get them laid down, and we'll have some cute little cheeks. And this is super cute. Then all we have left there are our broken heart pieces, and I die cut them out of two colors, actually three. I also brought in craft for the packaging. And we've basically got all of our pieces assembled and ready to go. I'm going to get these dies put away so I don't lose any of them. And we're going to bring in some other pieces of the kit along with a press plate. And we're going to just do some pressing and create our card. So we'll just get all these put away and clean off the desk. We'll move this out of the way, and we're going to make some space for layering of our panels and stuff. So I've got my little Dollar Tree tray here, and I've thrown some paper in here. I've got the other die cut pieces for the packaging, for my storing package. And I've got a card base. I've got some watercolor paper here, and I have got this press plate, and I'll link it in the description box below so you can check it out. But you can get cotton cardstock from Spellbinders or other places and use it on the Better Press. You can use regular paper if you want. In fact, when we did the butterfly earlier this week, we used regular cardstock. But a lot of times will use my color cardstock. This is just Canson watercolor cardstock, and it's just real inexpensive. And I'm going to get it taped up on this plate, and we're going to do some pressing. And I've just got this washi tape here that has like little cameras on it. It's really thin. And I'm going to get it to hold our watercolor paper on there so we can do some pressing. Now, I had a fun little email from the washi tape store, and I think I'm going to do a collaboration coming up, so be watching for that. That'll be super fun. I thought since we were talking about washi tape, I would mention that. But I had responded back to him and told him that it sounded like fun. I'd like to do it. So hopefully we'll be able to have some really fun washi tape on the channel here within the next month or so. So I am picking out the Better Press inks. And while I'm doing that, I will mention you can see that plate has all of the colors on it. The Better Press ink does stain your plates. Now, it's not going to hurt anything. I do clean them off. You can clean them off with alcohol or vinegar or whatever, and it'll lighten them a little bit. But it does have a tendency to stain the plates. And I just rub them on there. I just kind of brush them around in circles. Now, you do have to make sure you don't have any little hair pieces from the stamps on there because they will press into your design. And I actually picked one off there. You couldn't see. It was at the bottom of the screen when I first started. But I'm just trying to, get some ink laid down on here. We're using the saffron, the bark, and the tawny. And I'm just going to give it a press. And we're going to create just a background panel. I didn't have a lot to add with this toast. And so I wanted to have some other interesting looking things for it. And so that's why I wanted to press this. And so I made this much bigger than what I need. I know I'm going to cut it down. But I went ahead and made it bigger so that I could just tape it on there and not worry about the edges, and then we'll just cut it off. We're going to cut it down. So right now, I'm basically going to cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5, and then I will, when I make my second layer, I'll bring this in and I'll wind up cutting it down again. But we're going to start with 3 3/4 by 5 here, and then we'll cut it down again when we get ready to layer it. And I'm cutting from all sides because I'm looking at it and deciding what parts I want to cut away and what do I want to leave. So here it is at 3 3/4 by 5. But I was thinking, do I want the, kind of the mustard colored paper on top of this, or do I want to, layer it on top? I can go either way. And so we're going to get our brown laid down on here. And then I decide that I want to do it this way and put my little toast on here is what I decide to do. So I'm going to cut this panel down, and I cut it down wrong. I cut it down to 4 by 5 instead of 4 by 5 1/4. And I'll figure that out. And I'm like, oh, I've cut it wrong. And I thought, well, I could get another one. I thought, nope, we're just going to cut it down, and then we'll cut our panel down again. So I'm going to bring this one down to 5 by 4 3/4. And so that's 4 3/4 by 5. And then since we did that, we're going to bring this down to 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And just bring it down a little bit. And that will create our layer. And we could use dies for this or whatever, but I didn't. I just brought in the little guillotine and just cut it down. And evidently I never hold on to my cardstock hard enough because it always kind of flies out of my hands. I'm going to struggle getting this laid down how I like it. I'll probably lift it up and move it around and try and get it even. And I'm trying to get a nice little frame all the way around it. But it is a handmade card. It's not perfect. Give it a good press. And then we're ready to layer this up. However, I have set aside another piece of that brown, and we're going to bring in that embossing folder that was included in the kit, and we're going to use it and just showcase it again. And we've used this thing a lot on a lot of our cards. And I think if you get creative and you think outside the box with it, you can use this little embossing folder in a lot of different ways. And so I'm just going to position it in there. We're going to run it through the die cutting machine And I'm using the Scout for this. And I took away one of my plates and we're just giving it a good press. It's a regular embossing folder. And I've got some edges on there that I know I want to cut away because I just want to have the design. Now here I've got the other piece of that piece of brown cardstock, and I am taking the frame die from the Hello You, Love You set that was with the, it's like the little stamp set that was included in the kit. And I don't know why it's taking me so long here, but I'm going to die cut out that frame in the brown. And I zoomed in so you could see the assembly of the toast, and then I failed to zoom back out. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of the scrap from the mustard colored cardstock there, and I am pressing one of those sentiments out. And I'm going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on this. And I want to mention that because I'm using heavy cardstock. And if you want the centers of those little letters to pop out so that you have a real clean read on it, you do multiple presses. And it turned out beautiful. But that's Spellbinders cardstock is heavy. Now, if you use Michael's or something like that, you can probably get away with a press or two. But since I was using that heavy cardstock, I did several presses on that. So I'm just going to get my materials put away, and I'm going to bring in, I started to grab the guillotine to cut down the embossed panel, but I decided I couldn't see it with the blade and all that. So I thought I'm just going to bring in my Tim Holtz scissors. I can cut a straight line with them and just cut both sides of this off. And basically what I'm doing is taking away the edge, and I'm just leaving the embossed area there. And I'm going to cover up that little area there. I didn't like how the two colors interacted together right there. And so I thought I'll just lay this right down on it. And it's just going to add some additional dimension and interest to our card. And that's pretty much why I did the better press and then brought this embossing folder back in, is just to make it a little bit more interesting because we've just got a little focal point with our piece of toast. And I like it. I like how this looks. It's coming together. And so we're just going to get this laid down on here. And I don't know why the little piece of toast has a broken heart, but for some reason he does. Maybe he has a broken heart because he doesn't have any jelly on him. So I've got my sentiment here, and I'm just going to get it glued up and laid down on that frame. And you can see that love you is very clear. I got all those bits and pieces to pop out. I'm just going to clean up some glue with my tweezers just so we've got a good looking sentiment. And I will tell you guys, I was at the 11th hour trying to get this done because I've had such a busy day. I got up early this morning and had to go to the church for we had our business meeting last night for our budget, and I needed to do some work this morning. And then I had to go to the Secret Santa shop at the school and work at. And that was so much fun. It was so well organized and super fun. We got to just pull the kids out of the classroom, take them shopping, and then we took them to the little wrapping zone, and they wrapped it and put the labels on them, and then we bagged all their presents up in a bag so they could take them and would be able to, take them home with them. It was so fun. But when I got done with that, I had to run back to the church and then get home and had just enough time to get dinner. And we had a Christmas card making party planned, and we were adding all of the sentiments to the Christmas cards. And I had over 200 Christmas cards, and I think my sister and my mom, between them, they took over about 100 or a little over 100, and then I had a little over 100 for myself. And we got them all, got all the sentiments on. We got my personal stamp on the back of all of them, and they chose which ones they wanted. And then I kind of had my little stash that I was keeping for myself to use. And we got those all ready to go. And then I was like, I've got to get into this Advent calendar and get it going. So I'm hoping that I, get this voiceover done and that it will download and upload quickly so that I can get all the details in it. You guys will be able to watch it. But that was how my crazy day is. And then I've got to get up early tomorrow because we're still shuffling. We are chauffeuring, as the word I was looking for. My mom around, because she has a fractured foot and has this big boot on and she can't drive, and she's got an appointment and we've got to do some shopping. So very busy season right now, but it's all good. It's fun. And we had a good time stamping it, and they had fun. They made some cards too. I finally left them and I said, I got to get going on this. And I came back and they'd just kind of gone rogue and just started creating some cards on their own. And so they made some and had fun. But anyway, it's always a good time. We've kind of made it an annual tradition at Christmas to get together and make some cards and for Christmas, and because I have the product and everything, so super fun. So we're just going to get this other little piece of toast laid down on here. I just use craft cardstock for the colors on him, and then we're going to bring in the broken heart and get it laid down on there, and this will represent all of the pieces that are in the die set, so that when I can keep track of them. And this seems to be working out very well. And so far, all of them have fit on that ring. And I'm sure this one will as well. So just cleaning up the glue. And there we go. Super cute. I'm just folding the flap down on there. And there's our card and our packaging. So I've taken a picture so you can see a close-up view of it. I hope you like it. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 11.